Good morning, everyone. It's Greg. Welcome to Buckeye Freight Railing. I am at New River Junction in New Miami, Ohio, and I got Z134 coming up, the Norfolk Southern train, and that is the Newcastle district there. And on up over there is a CSX line. So we're going to have a train come down this line right close to me here, the Newcastle district, and he will go up toward Muncie, Indiana, Fort Wayne, and all that. All right, guys, stay tuned. I'll be back as soon as he gets here. All right, I hear him, guys. Z134. At least that's his symbol on the CSX line. Oh, he's coming at you. Loaded racks here. Now we got some mixed freight. All right, that's Z134. Heading west on the Newcastle district. All right. That train comes up CSX line all the way from Cincinnati. And then just right here, you veers off of CSX. CSX is the far track you see way over there. He forks off of it right there and gets on the Newcastle district. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. All right, just to show you, this is the Newcastle district I was talking about earlier. We got a little higher view here, and that's the CSX line over there. So anyway, we got M510 coming up, and he'll be on the far lane over there on the CSX line. You can see down there, the Norfolk Southern forks off the CSX line. All right, I thought you might have a better view of it up here, what I was trying to explain earlier. All right, here comes M510. He's gonna work just up the road here, so he's slowing in. Looks like an 86 footer, doesn't it? That's a biggie. Another one. Those racks are loaded. Got some loaded grain on those. All right, he's pulling into the New River yard there. He's got to drop off some and pick up a couple, so he's gonna stop right here. Good news is we got another track for CSX over there. There's two tracks there. All right, I'll be back when he moves. On this Newcastle district, if you're interested in what milepost this is, Milepost 33.1 is on this box. So, all right, folks. Thanks for watching. All right, he's getting her going again. Don't know for how long. All right, there's the end of it. All right, there you go, guys. M510, getting her done. Parked here at the New Miami Volunteer Fire Station, station number 221. All right. We got CSX coming down. Oh, looky here. Canadian Pacific. And a Southern Belle. This is a loaded ethanol train. I didn't even know he was coming. Love the power on the front. Not something we see all that often down here. Look at the cute little buffer he's got on the back of Wisconsin Central. How about that? An old rolling relic. All right, that was a nice surprise. Nice surprise. I don't know the symbol of this train, but I would bet he come out of the Chicago area there. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. more traction mats too. All right, that's the end of M359. He snuck up on me. Wow, no blowing, no calling out. But that was M359 because I heard dispatch talking to him way up the track a while ago, but I didn't know he's gonna be here already. All right, guys, M359. Thanks for watching. Look what we got here. I moved down the street a little bit. We got a loaded coal train. I think this is B547. At least he's got two engines on it this time. A few days ago he had one. Pretty sure he's taking this coal to Middletown, Ohio, the Cleveland Cliffs steel mill. Yeah, this is C547, not B547. My bad. Although he is a bulk train. That's a lot of weight for two engines. the end of it down there. About 20 more cars. Where I was filming is about a quarter mile up that way, across the bridge. Maybe a half a mile. All right, here's the end of her. C546 or 47, I believe. All right, there you go. All right, guys, let me know if you like me filming in this area here. It's north of Hamilton. They go a little faster. Only problem was in the morning because that's the east. You're filming into the sun, but that's the only drawback around here. Today's overcast. Thanks for watching. Hit that like button. I'd surely appreciate it. Subscribe too. It doesn't cost you nothing. See you tomorrow.